Today's video is sponsored by Awakened Realms Vault, Story Dice. Dice can be a lot of things. Simple, colorful, sharp, and now, art. Awakened Realms Vault has created painstakingly beautiful dice that are incredible and serve a function other than being on display. They are rolling out an array of dice. For example, the Emotions dice will help you craft the story randomly. Roll to determine how NPCs respond to players. Use them as a dungeon trap to determine random effects against your players. Critter dice are especially interesting because their weight isn't evenly distributed. The Koi Lucky dice will also have a higher probability of rolling those high results, guaranteeing you better rolls. A player does something good, reward them with a roll on the Koi dice, like a better inspiration. And of course, Awakened Realms have dice for any game system. Their classic RPG dice are designed with clear, legible numbers, making them easy to read and reducing the risk of misinterpretation or confusion during gameplay. Click the link in the description below and change the way you play with story dice. And now what you're here for. Dungeon Master doesn't understand how role-playing works. Before you judge, please read my story. When I used to "it's what my character would do," I wasn't using it to be the typical that guy. There was a reason for it. In Session 0, we were told by the DM that he would tolerate no, "it's what my character would do" shenanigans, and glared at one of the other players. Which kinda make it sound like he'd been the problem player pulling that excuse to justify his being a murder-hoboing twat waffle. Fast forward to our third session last night. I'm playing a neutral good fighter with the folk hero background. In combat, I was pretty much a non-combatant, since everyone else was on game and bashing the attacking dragon pretty well. The dice were cold when it came to me. I rolled so badly on initiative that I was last every round. By now, it's 4 turns into combat and I've missed twice, and the one hit I got, I rolled a 1. In the 3 previous rounds, they had the dragon on the ropes. DM was describing that it's gone from the offensive to the defensive, and looks as if it's trying to disengage and try to get away. In its desperation, it blew a gout of flame and set fire to a large house. From inside the house, the DM let us know that there were screams of children coming from inside. Since RNGesus rendered me useless thanks to the cold dice, I decided to holler, "You got this, I'm saving innocence," and ran off to get people out of the burning building. Ran in through the burning door. My brass dragonborn resistance helped me not go toasty, and I got the family out through a newly created hole in the wall. It's amazing what 17th strength and a 10-pound lump hammer, maul, can do when the wielder is properly motivated. Here's where things go wrong. So while all that was going on, the rest of the party killed the dragon. No one was close to death. No one dropped and had to be revived. Pretty straightforward combat. Party was battered, bruised, and in need of a good night's sleep, but was otherwise still in good fighting trim. Then the other players ripped into me for leaving the fight. I argued that they had the fight well in hand and didn't need me. Players called me a coward. I countered that the DM went out of his way to point out the screams of the innocent in the building. DM countered by saying that it was there for flavor and ambiance and wasn't supposed to be part of the encounter. I replied, "But you described what was going on as I got there. You could have said that you hear the screams and see a family fleeing their burning home, and left it at that." DM said, "Well, I had to do something since you fled the combat and ran there." Here it comes. I said, "I'm just whiffing the fight up to that point. You describe a scene of potential horror. People are in mortal danger. Women and children are in the burning building. I hear screams. I'm a good aligned character. It's what my character would do when faced with that sort of scenario." DM raises his voice in anger and roars, "I said in Sesh 0, no, it's what my character would do bullshit. I warned everyone. Pack your crap and leave." I didn't know what to say or do at that point apart from gathering my stuff and packing it in my bag while trying to hold back my tears. Was I really that much of an asshole for doing what my character would do? Sounds like a god-awful DM. Time to find a new table and never look back. This next story is another great example of a bad DM who shouldn't be running any kind of game. This happened about 10 years ago when I was in a rather epic campaign. Played over the course of about 2.5 years in a persistent setting. Plot: an incredibly powerful Draco Lich, imbued with an aspect of an evil god, tried taking over the world with his undead armies. It was my first campaign with these guys, but it was awesome. The DM knew how to capture our hearts and feelings. Amazing role-playing ensued. Memorable moments happened and all. I played a female wizard. The others were mostly martial characters. Due to the nature of our enemy being magical, there was quite a spotlight on my character, as I was the only one really trained in the skills to research this. Also, a few other predicaments happened that I was able to solve with unforeseen use of my magical spells, which might have made a few of the other players feel uncomfortable. Now, during the campaign over the course of 2.5 years real time, we forged alliances and weapons to use in the climatic battle against our enemy, and his undead hordes, while also researching his origins and bond to the god. While doing the latter, it turned out that in all likelihood his link to the god was so strong, he may just turn out to be completely invulnerable, and all of our combined efforts to defeat him might be doomed. Our research was not entirely conclusive, but it might be possible to cut the link with the evil god before the battle, by transferring it upon yourself. However, that would involve making a pact with the evil god, and selling your eternal soul, which of course was out of the question for pretty much all the god-fearing characters. That is, all except my wizard, but I was unable to tell my comrades about my plans, as they would have surely slain my character on the spot for even thinking about it. So I talked with the DM in private, and he was thrilled by the idea, ran a solo session in secret with me about forging a pact with the evil god, and I prepared some sequestered spells for use during the battle. The day of the battle came, and armies of tens of thousands came together to defeat the Draco Lich and his armies. During the epic battle with the hordes, our enemy made his appearance, and with valiant effort, we were able to bring it down to the ground, but we were not actually dealing any kind of significant damage to it. That was when my wizard invoked the pact she made the night before, to take the aspect of the demon upon herself. It worked. The aspect was transferred to my character in a literal light show of special effects, and, almost as expected, all my former friends turned around and targeted my character with their strongest attacks. That is when she invoked the sequestered spells prepared beforehand, hiding behind a force wall and teleporting to safety, the evil god's aspect still inside of her. The Draco Lich and his armies fell swiftly after that, but the former friends of my character swore revenge on her for betraying them. All in all, an amazing campaign, and in the end the heroes saved the day, and my old character, now a possible future antagonist, surely soon to be overpowered by the god's influence, ruled over newly resurrected undead somewhere far away. The end? So next we were about to start a new campaign. I rolled up a new character. A roguish non-spellcaster this time, as I didn't want to be the focus yet again. When we met for the first session of the new campaign, the other players gathered and let me know that they decided that I will no longer be part of this group, nor any other group any of them played in. Their reason being, I had shown my true colors by forging a pact with their enemy, so they would never be able to trust any character I played anymore. Furthermore, I was informed that they have decided to remove my old character from the history of the campaign world, and retconned that their old characters defeated the Draco Lich on their own terms. The DM later told me in private that he was outvoted by the other players, and that he really loved what I did. In fact, it would never have been possible for all of our combined efforts to take the dragon down, had I not done this. There originally were other ways to defeat our enemy, but we did not go that route for various reasons. But the other players were too adamant in their position, and he didn't want to lose his group, so joining the others and kicking me out was the way of least resistance. I was pretty devastated at that time, as the roleplay and interaction I had with this group was so amazing, but I got over it eventually. So in the end, my character saved everybody by pretty much turning herself to the dark side, and I got booted from one of my favorite groups for it. I don't want to point fingers at anybody. I believe I'm as much at fault myself as is the DM and partially the other players too. I would approach the whole situation much differently today, and if I was one of the other players instead in this campaign, I might just as well see this other me as the main problem. I would like to believe I've learned from it though, and would not make the same mistakes again today. In the end though, it's an RPG horror story, however, and that's why I wanted to share it. Who's to blame here? The DM, the other players, the player themselves? It seems like a great ending to a great campaign. Are the other players really that upset that they won a different way, that they were justified in kicking this person out of their game? Share your stories of a roleplay backfiring with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, All Things D&D. Stay tuned for more amazing Dungeons & Dragons content.